Our benchmarks are, as I said, are tools to not only equip the private sector for strategic decisions or directions, but also financial institutions and government, civil society, and I will talk a little bit on that later, to have that information to engage with the private sector. And this is how we create a system to not only award and recognize leadership and to mention who are the leaders in the specific industries or transformations that these companies operate in, but also to create an accountability mechanisms for those that are lagging behind. We will measure 450 companies against the Paris Agreement goals. And we do so by using this ACT methodology, which stands for Assessing Low Carbon Transition. And these, the publication of these benchmarks will be in high emitting sectors. So we've done in the automotive industry, which I'll show you. On the 6th of July, we will publish our research on the electric utility industry, and we've just published a consultation on the oil and gas methodology that we've developed together with the Science Based Target Network. I don't know if you are aware, but that's also they use a specific science to develop then specific industry measures, and we expect for the oil and gas that we will measure 100 companies by the beginning of next year.
You can see that we take in the methodology development this top-down approach of working with these existing organizations and initiatives around creating this framework, but we also think it's vitally important to have a bottom-up approach of on-the-ground consultations with farmers, who are the ones who are most directly affected by the issues we're talking about, and who are the ones who are going to be most directly affected by any change that we see happen in terms of the food system. So we recently convened 2 farmer roundtables in Nepal and Kenya in late 2019. So there was 49 farmers in attendance from 14 different countries across Southeast Asia and Eastern and Southern Africa. And what we found particularly strongly to come out of these farmer roundtables is the importance of our third pillar, the one around social inclusion, with farmers really stressing the need to be treated equitably and as value chain partners to these multinationals if we want to see the systemic change in the food system.
On producing side and on market, on demand side, you see that there's a market consolidation happening. So big traders and big roasters are taking larger parts of the market into their hands, and that provides difficulties for the smaller companies that are in our network to make a difference, because they have very little influence in the sector, and the influence of, for instance, JDE, Douwe Egberts, Dutch company, is very big. And you see in the market here that they set the rules for the market, and one of their rules is that coffee should be cheap, and they are making sure that everything works in their advantage. So it's very difficult for small companies with a specific mindset to break through. So those are the things that provide us with good fertile ground, as to say, to bring these companies together. We've got a number of projects that we're also funding, and that's interesting, I think, because we don't just do the measurements. We also stimulate these smaller and medium-sized companies to get into action with their value chain partners. So we've got around 4 projects right now that we're funding that aim at making a transition, for instance, to organic production, from normal coffee production to organic, and measuring what is the impact of that transition. Another one is building a central composting factory for a region of coffee producers, for them to get let them make less use of chemical fertilizers, so that they can make a transition to that. And another one is crop diversification, another project where we aim at adding cocoa and moringa to the coffee farms, so that they have a more diverse income, but also from a climate change perspective, that biodiversity will be enhanced. And also, so there are different kinds of impacts in these projects, and we'll be aiming at measuring those with the tool.